I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy Dore, and this is the poster for the film Ithaca. And that there is John Shipton. He is the father of Julian Assange. And this is a documentary about the Shipton family's campaign for Julian Assange's freedom. Here is the trailer.
Julian Assange has been suffering terrible deprivation because he published the truth.
Julian isn't a name. He's not a symbol. He's a human being.
What are your worst fears?
That it just collapses.
It's okay. In no sane world can this be normalized.
We're here because we have a child in the ship and we want to get him out.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Well, let's bring in our guest. Gabriel Shipton is a producer and an activist, an advocate for his brother, Julian Assange, who is currently now still imprisoned at Belmarsh in the UK. And Gabriel and his father, John Shipton, are currently on tour promoting their new film, Ithaca, A Father, a Family, a Fight for Justice. Gabriel Shipton, thank you for joining us on The Jimmy Dore Show.
Hey, good to be with you, Aaron.
Talk to us about this film, how it came about, how this tour is going.
Well, the idea for the film sort of emerged after I went to see Julian in prison in 2019. I went there with my father, John, and journalist John Pilger. And it was about, he was taken from the embassy, his refuge in the embassy on April 11th. In 2019, and it was a few months after that I went to see him in the prison, and he was in a really, really bad way. I'd never seen him like that before. Over all the years that I'd visited him in his different sort of forms of incarceration, whether it was under house arrest or in the Ecuadorian embassy. I'd never seen Julian in that sort of state before. He was in the maximum security prison where he remains today, but he was being kept in near total isolation in the health wing of the prison, which the prisoners refer to as the hell wing, because it's the place, it's the most depressing, the most dire area of the prison. You have people in psychosis, terminally ill people, total amputees. The person in Julian's cell next door was a man with no arms or legs. And so it is the worst place to be in that prison. And I left the jail that day feeling that, I might not see Julian again, and that's what, I'm a film producer. I usually do scripted drama films, with actors and scripts and things like that. And so I really, left the prison that day thinking, how can we tell this side of the story? The side of the story that we as Julian's family understand, but the world hasn't had a chance to see. And so that's when we started thinking about, telling a different side of this story, a personal side of the story, a story that follows John and Julian's wife Stella, on their journey to free their son, their husband, the father of their children. And it's really a way to get to know Julian, get behind the headlines, get behind the dehumanization and the demonization that has been perpetrated on Julian for years and years by his persecutors, and really get to know him in a more personal way as a father, as a son, through the people who love him most. And that was really, how we sort of came about to getting started on this project. And and that's led us to where we are today. And John and I will be launching on this tour on the 28th of February. We have around 42 events planned for all around the US. We start off in LA. We'll be at the Laemmle in NoHo on March 1st, and then at the Roxy Theatre in San Francisco on the 2nd of March. So, and then all around the country. So it's going to be a really good chance to really get to people, talk to them about the case. The more people we speak to, the more people join the fight to free Julian.
And when you connect with people on the road, and you guys are tireless, I've seen you do so many events campaigning for Julian's freedom. When you meet with people and they, share with you what Julian means to them, what is that like for you as a family as you're engaged in this struggle to free Julian and all the difficulties that entails?
It's for me, it's very humbling, Aaron, to know that there are people out there who are, sacrificing their time, coming out to seeing us, donating, doing all sorts of things for Julian's freedom. It's really humbling, and it gives us a lot of energy to keep going. When we meet these people face to face, and we're very critical of the U.S. government, as I'm sure and the people in Washington. We're very critical of them, but getting out there and getting to the people on the streets and talking to them, deep down, I think a lot of Americans, they're very principled, very good people, and they see the hypocrisy in this case. They see the threat that it poses to their democratic rights. The threat that it poses to the First Amendment in the US. And so, always very humbled, and always, really get a lot of energy from meeting Americans.
And there was some hope that the Australian government, Julian's home government, was going to step up the pressure on the US to win his freedom. Has that borne out? Are they doing anything tangible to win Julian's release?
Well, there's a dramatic change with the Australian government. Previous governments have really just, towed the line from Washington when it comes to Julian's persecution. But this new Labor government, with the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, has, made statements. In December last year, he publicly said that he'd made representations to the Biden administration that this had gone on long enough. But the proof is in the pudding, really. Julian is still in prison, and the Australian government really have to ramp up their campaign. I don't think public statements and these sort of behind closed doors representations are really going to move the needle. They really have to step up their campaign and work towards a diplomatic solution to this. Interestingly, mid-March, there is a planned visit to Washington by Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, going there to meet President Biden. So this could be a chance for them to all get together and solve this problem. Anthony Albanese representing Australian citizen Julian Assange, and really working it out and trying to bring him home.
And where are we at in terms of Julian's legal struggle? I know that the UK government has approved his extradition to the US to face charges under the Espionage Act. Julian is, of course, appealing this. Where does that stand right now?
Well, so Julian has one final appeal in the UK courts. And so that appeal, he has applied to appeal. So he has put in an application. The US DOJ has put in their response. And the High Court in the UK has had all the material they need to make a decision on whether they will hear the appeal or not since the beginning of November. So, they're taking their sweet time deciding whether they'll do this or not, or whether they'll approve Julian's appeal or not. But there is a possibility that if they reject the application to appeal, that Julian could be on a plane within 24 hours being extradited to the US. So that is the situation there with the appeal. But, we always, this is just a sort of veil of legality that is, it's a very thin veil that is put in front of Julian's persecution. What has been done to Julian is an example to every journalist, every publisher in the world, that if you do this sort of work, if you publish information about war crimes, if you publish information about torture, government corruption, this is what's going to happen to you. You will be put in jail, not convicted. Julian's not convicted. He's been in a prison for almost 4 years. you will have no rights. You have no freedom of speech. You will have no right to asylum. All your rights can be taken from you at any point in time if you do this. So that is what is happening to Julian, and that's the example that is being heard around the world. That's why you see the New York Times sending letters to the US DOJ saying that this has to end.
Gabriel, as we wrap, any final words you want to leave us with, and where can people go to find out more about the film and your upcoming tour? Yeah,
I would just say, look, John and I are very, very glad to come to the US, and very, people there are always so hospitable to us, and we're really looking forward to meeting all our old supporters. That we've got lots of friends over there now, and all the new supporters who are going to join the fight to free Julian. You can find all the information on the events at the film website, ithacamovie.com. That's ITHAKA, Ithaca with a K, movie.com. So yeah, if you jump on there, it will have all the information you need to come out and watch the film, and then hang around and have a chat to us afterwards.
Gabriel Shipton, film producer, brother of Julian Assange. The new film is Ithaca, about to tour the U.S. Go see it. Come and meet John and Gabriel and honor these heroes, because fighting for Julian Assange's freedom is a fight for all of us. So thank you, Gabriel, for all that you and your family do. It's great to see you.
Cheers, Aaron. Thanks.
Doing live stand-up comedy in Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Nashville, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, and Hartford, Connecticut. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and become a premium member. Get access to all our content.